meeting is being live streamed on our community website. Only a few homeowners present and some committee members. I will try and explain the agenda items as we proceed. The agenda planning meeting and board meetings now offer homeowners that are watching on live streaming the opportunity to ask questions or address concerns of the meeting. Live stream audience will have a few minutes to send questions or comments by email to boardmeeting@sunlinks2.com. When sending in your questions or comments by email, you must put your full name and where you are located, Cottonwood or Palo Verde. Homeowners in attendance will be offered their opportunity to ask questions or state concerns. There will also be time in this agenda for homeowners to address the board. You may start sending your emails now to get started early. Steve Nolan has a laptop here, and your emails will be read and addressed. All comments from board and homeowners will be addressed. I will announce reminders to send your emails as we proceed. As we go through our agenda today, the board members will be asked if they need additional information, have any questions, or need clarifications on an agenda item. Homeowners in the audience will be asked if they have any questions or comments. When the homeowners' comments are completed, I will ask board members if this item is to be left on the agenda. I am looking for a group yes response from the board members. Now we'll go to the agenda. Pledge of Allegiance. Bud, will we have some leading the pledge next week?
Yes, Ben White will be leading.
Very good, thank you. Put you to work right away, don't we, Lynn?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is to approve the March board minutes. We will leave these on.
Yeah.
Approve the annual board minutes. We will leave that on. There will be a president's message, and we do have a presentation of employee of the month. Treasurer's report, Frank Cool, will there be a report?
Yes, there will.
Now we're down to committee reports. Architectural Compliance Committee, Bud Jensen.
Okay, the Architectural Compliance Committee met on April 13th. A summary of the activities will be given to the board meeting on April 28th. Recommendation action returned to an item to the board of directors. The Agriculture Compliance Committee recommends to the board to remove Denise Tucker from the Agriculture Compliance Committee due to 4 consecutive absences. The recommended actions for the management is none.
Next meeting,
Well, our next meeting will be the 27th of April, sorry.
it's not a problem.
And we did have a quorum.
Thank you, Bud. Audit and Finance Committee, Max Brittingham. And Max is also representing the golf, and you can certainly go right to that report.
Okay. Good afternoon. The Audit and Finance Committee met April 1st. Not many homeowners were visiting. We discussed the financial reports, received comments from the treasurer and general manager. We had 2 issues requiring board approval. One, the committee recommends that Lee Rath be appointed to the Audit and Finance Committee. And the second was that whenever we suggested that to the board, that whenever a capital item is up for approval, the board should highlight this, the year the item was expected to be replaced. No issues requiring management attention, and the next meeting will be May 6th at 3 p.m. in the field. Questions?
I have a question, Max.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I want to point out clarification on this, and that is in your recommendation for highlighting the year that the expected item was to be replaced. That really came from the committee and more concerned that homeowners were interested. Am I correct or close?
A little of both, I
Okay.
think more from the committee, but I think at least 2 or 3 of the committee had heard homeowners mention that, wow, that came out of the blue and they just paid for it. And our concern is that we do have a reserve study that responds to the capital reserve, and that it would seem that it would be a good idea to remind people that these things are thought of way in advance, that they're just not coming out of the blue, it just didn't drop here, that air conditioner that we're replacing for $10,000 was on the capital reserve study. And actually it went 4 years longer than we thought, or 1 year less than we thought, but the thought had gone into it and it was there so that people didn't think that these management were just coming in and here are these things you should buy for this. Just some idea that there is planning. It's not a budget issue. It has to do with planning for expenditures.
Okay. And I respect that. I want to remind everybody, those are on the budget or on the agendas every month at both the agenda planning meeting and the board meeting. I've decided that what I would do on this, and I'm hoping that this will satisfy your committee, is that when I read that into the minutes at the board meetings, I will say what the replacement year is printed on the agenda. Okay?
I think that would be fine. We just want some indication that this wasn't something that
We just thought of.
Yeah.
Sound like a good idea.
Right.
We did.
yeah.
This was one.
Right, and we thought of how much it might cost and how long it might last when we put it on.
It's not a problem. You can tell your committee that we're going to try it, see
Okay.
how they like it. How's
Thank
that?
Thank you. Will we do golf now?
Yeah, I would like to have you do golf now.
Okay. The golf committee met April 7th, and there were substantially more folks at that meeting, homeowners, than there were at the financial meeting. We had discussions about turf and transition, discussions about making the fifth on Palo Verde more playable. And I changed things up so that staff wasn't reporting on what the association's golf groups were doing, but I had the people who represent those people make those representations. We had 2 recommendations requiring board approval, recommending Chuck Carruthers as an at-large representative to the golf committee and recommending Max Whittingham as at-large representative to the golf committee. The one that had the most attention set to it was a requirement of management attention, and the committee recommended to management that we go back to shotguns and require only 2 carts per group to be allowed on the course with a shotgun or tee time. And that has already been done, so that was responsive. The next meeting will be May 5th at 2 p.m. in the field. Questions on that?
Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Communications Committee, Dave Hosevar. And I understand that you're going to be also reporting for food and beverage.
Yes.
If you will, you can just go right into that afterwards if you wish.
Okay, the Communications Committee met on Monday, April 5th, 9 a.m. in the Phoenix Room. There was a quorum. Issues requiring approvals for, there's none for the board. Issues requiring management attention. The committee had a discussion regarding the library committee. I think you probably have the notes in front of you. And we weren't sure which way we should go, either to the board, it was kind of decided on amongst our advisor and liaison, we should probably run it through the manager first, that the committee recommends that the library group, Phyllis Chase was the library coordinator, And there's 13 volunteers. And she feels that they get a lack of recognition. So she feels that these volunteers need some recognition to possibly, well, to get invited to the annual volunteer event. So by doing so, it probably need the library group. So we worded this, or was worded, and I think with the help of the group and our advisor, Patty, that recommends to management that the library group's methods, procedures, and members be evaluated with the thought of recognizing this group as a new subcommittee to be part of the communications committee. So we don't want anything need to be done immediately, but again, have some thought within the administration to create this group, and we could have some discussion back and forth between the board, management, and the committee. So that's our issue requiring management attention. Our next meeting will be May 3rd in Phoenix Room, and there'll be a full report at the monthly board meeting. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Dave.
And then standing in for Bob Carlson for food and beverage. There was a meeting held on April 1st in the Phoenix Room. There was a quorum. There's no issue. There's no items requiring any attendance for the board or management. The next meeting will be Thursday, May 6th in the Palo Verde Lounge, and there will be a full report at the monthly meeting. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Dave. Recreation Committee, there'll be no report since they are not having a meeting quite yet. State Security and Access Committee, Dave Hussman. Did I call you Dave?
Yes.
I apologize, it's Dan. I even have it written that way.
Came up too fast too. Good afternoon. The Safety and Security Committee met on April 7th at 9:30 or new time, which is no longer a new time. We're going back to 9 o'clock at the next meeting. We were very, very well represented by management at that meeting. Steve joined us. Jim was there acting as the security show manager. And Irene was there for her introductory meeting. There were no items for management, no items for the board at this time. We will meet on May 7th at 9 o'clock to finish. Any questions?
I have a question for you. You're going to be looking forward to meeting the new manager, patrol manager, at your next meeting?
Yes, very much.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for filling in that time. That brings us down to project reports. Did I miss something? Only two. Oh, election committee is no report. Commissioner, did I miss? Well, let's just back up here and make sure that I get everything done as it is. I didn't mean to. So we have facilities and grounds. Don Hicks will be sitting in for Richard Hawks. Thank you.
Facilities and Grounds met on March 2nd with a quorum. There's no issues. The management or the board complete report will be at the next week's board meeting. The next meeting will be on May 4th. Any questions?
Very good. Thank you, Don. Now, move on.
You may move.
That was inadvertent. I want you to understand that. Frank always laughs on jokes. This is beautiful. We're now down to project reports. Steve Nolan and your management report.
I will have a report on the 3 new pickleball courts and a full management report.
Good. Thank you, Steve. We'll leave on the director's comments. This is a reminder of those watching on the live streaming audience to send your questions and comments by email to boardmeeting@sunlakes2.com. When sending in your questions or comments, you must put in your full name and where you're located, Cottonwood or Palo Verde. That brings us down to capital reserve replacement fund request. This is your tab number 3. Management recommends the replacing the current wire sensors that are located under the pavement at the Palo Verde, Michigan gate. The sensors are no longer working correctly, and the sliding gates are inoperative due to sensors not functioning. Automatic gate systems is the recommended sole source bid for a total price of $5,396. It is a sole source bid due to the fact that Automatic Gate System has been our vendor and we have a contract with them for emergency service. Board members, are any questions or comments that you need on this here to be replaced? Oh, I was going to do that at the board meeting. Okay. The year that this item was scheduled to be replaced is 2023. Okay. Thanks, Steve. Homeowners in the audience, are any questions or clarifications? Steve, is there any emails on this item?
No, but as you can see, they have the road torn up. We've been waiting for them to take place. And they're going to complete their work. Right now, we're just still drawing.
Good. Glad to hear it. Shall this item be left on the agenda?
Yes.
Next on the request is our tab number 4. Management recommends upgrading the current sound system at Cottonwood. The current sound system is requiring a video upgrade, including connection to wall plates and Cat6 cable installations. Estimated year of replacement on this was 2022. This is a sole source bid from CCS Presentation Systems for $7,985. CCS has provided the service for our current system for several years. They are very familiar with our system and have provided excellent service. CCS is licensed to work on our current sound and video systems. Board, do you have any questions on this item?
Marshall, did we do something like this not too many years ago?
So 2 years ago, we did upgrading to the, what wasn't upgrading, it was reprogramming of the system. Because to make any changes to the system at that time, they had to rewrite some of the code. This is to replace some of the wall plates that are intermittently working. So when we plug in a computer to it, the newer style computers and any newer iPads or anything like that, they do require Cat6 cabling. We have Cat5 cabling through the walls. And then once it gets to the projector then tones down the image and shoots it. So that's why those two things have to be replaced at this point. It's just the technology has improved in all the computers and devices. And so we only can use outdated computers at this point to project images and everything else. And there is a pot of money basically to replace little items. And that's what that 2022 date goes towards. I believe it's about $50,000. Don't quote me on the exact amount.
Thank you, Marshall. We'll probably ask the same question next week at the board meeting. Homeowners in the audience, are any questions, clarifications on that item?
All of them?
Just saying.
Dave, host of our homeowner. Is this primarily for the ballroom?
Marshall?
So they're going to replace the cabling here in the soir room and the wall plate in the soir room. There is one in the restaurant, and then there is two in the ballroom that they're replacing.
Thank you, Marshall. Thank you, Dave. Steve, are there any emails in reference to this item?
No.
Shall this item be left on the agenda?
Yes.
Very good. Takes us down to a new item that is on our agenda today. Management recommends a replacement or repair of the deco drains at the Cottonwood Pool. This is our tab number 14. The estimated year of replacement on this item was 2021. The bid comes from All Valley Pools. Management recommends a sole source bid from All Valley Pools for $64,945 plus a 15% contingency for a total cost of $74,687. Management reached out to several pool repair companies for bids, and the only company that responded was All Valley Pools. All Valley Pools has done work with several of our pools in the past. Board, is there any questions or clarifications on this agenda item?
I'd like for Jim to explain that to the board and also the home.
Very good, Jim.
The deco drains have failed over time. The lids of the deco drains snap into a U-shaped box. Concrete, most everyone knows, concrete expands and contracts. Concrete is expanded around the pools that the lids can no longer be put back on top of those drains. They've actually shrunk up. So what we have a problem now is they're becoming a trip hazard. They're breaking, and the drains that we're proposing is Zern drains, which is like around the lap pool, as well as around the tennis court number 1 for drains. They're excellent drains. They can be removed, they can clean. They don't have to, they're got more of a thicker base to them. They won't collapse like the existing ones. That kind of explain everything, right? Anyone have any questions? Yes.
How many are
850 linear feet. Yep, not a problem. Any other questions?
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us a guesstimate on time that this would take? Is this a 6-week project?
No, I talked to the contractor and he's looking at about a week to 2-week process. He's gonna do it in stages. We get as much done as possible. He's gonna try to work around our schedule. I do not want that pool shut down, especially with summertime. So he already knows that. Biggest thing I'm waiting for once we get approval of everything is to get them ordered.
Get them ordered?
Yes. That's gonna be the big delay right now. With COVID still amongst us and everything else, that's how I want to get them ordered as soon as possible for shipping and delivery.
Okay. And most of the time they'll be working on it at the morning times?
They'll be starting early, yes.
They'll be starting early? Okay. Thank you, Jim. Any other questions from board members? Any other questions from homeowners? Steve, are there any emails on this one? Shall this item be left on the agenda?
Yes.
Very good. I haven't missed anything else yet, have I? Not yet.
We got a tick mark.
I'd say that's it. Put that one up, okay. Next on the agenda is PV Gate Reserve Fund. There is none. There are no capital improvement fund requests, nor are there a voluntary contribution fund. We're down to old business. Old business on your agenda. These are items that have been in first reading since the March board meeting. Item number A is tab number 5. The Architectural Compliance Committee recommends the board update the ACC guidelines for garages, carports, and golf cart enclosures. This is page 13, item number 14, and item number A2 of that. Board members, are there any questions on this? Homeowners, any clarifications or questions? Steve, are there any email responses?
No.
This item should remain on the agenda for the board vote next month, or next week, excuse me.
Yes.
Next one is tab number 6. The Architectural Compliance Committee recommends the board update of the ACC guidelines for garage doors. This appears on page 18, number 21, item D. Board members, do you have any questions? Any questions from the homeowners in the audience? Steve, are there any emails regarding this?
No.
Shall this item remain on the agenda for a vote?
Yes.
Very good. Last one on here is tab number 7. The Architectural Compliance Committee recommends the board update board policy 10-01 in reference to committees. Board group members, do we need Bud Jensen to explain this any further?
No, I got a, Steve, did you, since this was in the first readings, did you get any comments from homeowners on this one?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from homeowners? Since you didn't get any questions, I'm assuming you did get any emails either. Shall this item remain on the agenda for a board vote next week?
Yes.
Now we're down to new business. First on there is our tab number 8. This is to approve the 2021-2022 board meeting schedule. I'm going to ask you, the board members, if there's any questions that they need answered on this. Homeowners, are there any questions or clarifications? Out of monotonous, I'm going to ask if there are any emails. Okay, this item should be left on the agenda for under new business for a board vote next week. Are you correct?
Yes.
Very good. Next on the agenda is our tab number 9. This is to approve changes to board policy 7-60, which has to do with pickleball regulations. Board members, you are presented with the updated information on that board policy. Is there any questions in reference to this? Homeowners, any questions in the audience? Bob Miller?
Bob Mueller, homeowner. What's the nature of the changes?
The changes are to both pages. I'm going to tell you we're at 4 pickleball courts. It will now read 7 pickleball courts. The other change in there, I'm going to have to go to a page. Okay, so give me just a second. Bottom of page 2, there's a wording change to item number B that states at the bottom, all Cottonwood Palo Verde members, renters, associate members, and guests with a valid guest pass are eligible to receive 7 Cottonwood pickleball courts to use the 7 pickleball courts. Visitors are without a valid guest pass must be accompanied by a homeowner. What it was is I'll let Steve probably explain it because he wrote it in there. Can you help me out there, Steve?
What it was the wrong policy. The policy should have been what it is now, but if you have a valid guest pass, you don't need the homeowner with you. That's why you have a guest pass. And so patrol was getting confused and they were telling people that were visiting their parents that they needed them there, like pickleball, even though they have valid guest pass. This clarifies it.
This is just a good clarification. to remove any kind of problems. Okay. Any other questions from homeowners? Steve, are there any emails referenced on this? Okay, now, I'm going to suggest to the board mostly, most of the time, our board policies are put in the first reading. This particular item has just some wording changes that are not affecting anything material. It is not my belief that putting this in first reading would be beneficial to everyone. So I'm going to make the recommendation that we leave this in new business and vote on it next week. Is the board in agreement on this?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. Next item on there is tab number 10. This is approve the Audit and Finance Committee's request. Quote here, whenever a capital item is up for approval, the board should highlight the year the item was expected to be replaced. Thanks, Max, for that. And board members, any questions?
No.
Homeowners, any questions on this? Steve, are there any emails on this?
No.
Shall this item be left under new business for a board vote?
Yes.
Very good. Next item is our tab number 11. This is approve audit and finance proposed committee member Lee Rath. Your tab reads his qualifications. Audit and finance committee has recommended him. Board members, are any questions you have in this reference? Homeowners, are any questions that you have in reference to this item? Any email responses to this? Shall this item be left on the agenda under new business?
Yes.
Very good. Next is tab number 12. This is approve the golf committee's proposed committee members of Chuck Carruthers and Max Brittingham. Any additional comments by board members? Homeowners, are there any comments in the audience? Steve, are there any email responses to this? No. Shall this item be left on the agenda under new business for a board vote?
Yes.
Very good. Next, we have tab number 13. This is the Architectural Compliance Committee request the removal of a committee member due to multiple absences. Board members, are there any questions you have on this? Homeowners, any comments or clarifications? Steve, any email responses on this?
Oh, but we did receive a late one on Max. No, I'm just kidding.
Do we need to go back now? No, okay. At least I wasn't the only one left then. Shall this item be left on the agenda under new business for a board vote?
Yes.
We're down to first readings. There are none. If I've done everything correctly, that brings us down to homeowners' comments. Any homeowners? Want to make sure he gets a microphone? We'll introduce you, Bob Noor.
Bob Noor, homeowner. Has the architect finished with the drawings for the old gym yet?
Yes, and they're the county.
They're at the county for permits already? Did the board review them first or at all, or?
The board saw them, plans way earlier on.
But you told me earlier there were no drawings for this project. Back in.
Well, how did I told you, when did I tell you that?
Back in October,
Probably at that time, we probably hadn't seen it.
well, I've been to all the meetings since then, and they haven't come up. Did they not get reviewed at a board meeting?
The board approved the architectural, fees and plans when they approved it, the architect's fee schedule back in, I forget what month that was.
Yeah, it was like October, that was for, it just said construction drawings, and I believe he said at the time that was gonna be a preliminary kind of a drawing, and we get to see it at that point in time.
No, I don't believe that I said it was, I said we had preliminary sketches, but they were not architectural drawing. We have not seen the blueprints from the architect, that is true. The board did look at and approve the drawings before they went to the county. Yeah.
Okay, because I asked the.
It has to do with layouts. The exterior of the building is not gonna change at all, okay?
Yeah, I just asked to see any drawings back in October, and he said there weren't.
At that time, we did not have any drawings.
We still don't have renderings.
That's correct.
I wasn't looking for a rendering, I was looking at for the floor plan. This architect in the past has always given us an estimate of what he believes the project is going to run. Did he give one in this case? And I imagine it was just for the building, not for any of the equipment that was in the building?
No, he hasn't given any of this.
The arch,
No estimates at all?
no.
Okay, because he gave quite a few during the proposal for the new gym.
Well, it's kind of different when you have a remodel, you don't know what you're gonna get into, so he doesn't like to give estimates on remodels. Because we don't know what we're gonna get into we turn those walls. And the contractor's gonna have to come in and look at it before they even it's there's a lot hidden in those walls. Jim knows that, but
Thank you.
Any other comments from homeowners? Steve, any emails for those watching on live stream?
no more.
We want to thank those of you today that were watching on live stream. We wish all of our homeowners to remember to wear your mask and maintain social distancing, which we don't have to do anymore. Please be safe, still stay healthy, and tune in next week for the board meeting on the board meeting on April 27th. This meeting is adjourned. Oh, it is 8.